Good morning. Nice and sunny from here in Seattle. All right, let's do this. Get this gay going. Amazon. Flash briefing.
Jamie, here's your flash briefing. In NPR News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Korva Coleman. Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine is expected to be the major focus at the White House this afternoon when President Biden meets with the Prime Minister of Denmark. NPR's Tamara Keith says their talks precede next month's NATO summit.
The U.S. and Denmark are working together to help train Ukrainian pilots to use F-16 fighter jets as their country defends itself against Russia. Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen of Denmark is rumored to be a candidate for the role of NATO Secretary General. But
And
when
those
asked if that was the
places,
purpose of her meeting with
fighting
Biden,
is
Press
happening.
Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said
The
they have a
people
lot
voted to
talk
be
about.
part of
They
Russia,
will
and
review
it
our efforts
went through.
as NATO allies and close partners
what's
to
the deal?
strengthen
Let's have a
transatlantic
peace deal.
security and
Come on.
bolster economic prosperity. They will discuss our unwavering support for Ukraine in the face of Russia's brutal war of aggression.
Add to the list coordination on climate change, energy
The
security,
civilians
and
want to be
other
Russian.
global issues. Tamara Keith, NPR News, the White House.
Hundreds of journalists are walking
Easy
out
to
of
make a peace deal like
newspapers
that.
across the country
Just
today.
saying.
Journalists for publications owned by Gannett are protesting the newspaper chain's cost-cutting measures. NPR's David Folkenflik says Gannett managers are facing difficult economic choices.
The financial realities
Let's have
were
peace,
such that
people.
they were required to cut initially.
Fine,
it looked like
you voted to
between
be
$200 to
Russian,
$300
you're
million.
Russian.
Now it looks like it's more
Done deal.
like
Fighting.
$400 million
Cease.
in cuts, and I think that size cutting across the newsrooms across the country is what
Stop
you're seeing
killing
really
people.
as much more as a result of that.
NPR's
Did I say
David
children die?
Folkenflik
Children
reporting.
die in war.
Virginia State Police say no one survived the crash of a small private plane in rural Virginia yesterday. The plane flew over Washington, D.C. Military fighter jets were rushed into the air to intercept it, triggering
Children
a
on
sonic
both
boom.
sides of the battle.
Officials say no one aboard the small
Enough
plane
already.
ever responded.
Dummies.
It's not yet known who was aboard or what
They
happened.
want to be Russian. Let them be.
Stocks opened mixed this morning as
End the
Saudi
war.
Arabia takes steps to prop up oil
Is
prices.
that easy?
NPR's Scott Horsley reports the Dow
But the
Jones
people in
Industrial
charge
Average slipped about
are
4
bricks.
points in early trading.
Laundering
Saudi
money,
Arabia plans to
making
cut its
themselves
production
rich.
of oil by a
That's
million barrels
exactly
a day
what's
next
going on.
month. Other big oil exporters in the OPEC Plus alliance announced plans to extend their own
Wake up,
production limits
Ukraine.
for next year. Crude oil prices rose on the news, but remained subdued amid uncertain forecasts for
They're
oil demand.
embezzling money.
The price of regular gasoline in the U.S. is hovering around
They don't care who
$3.55 a
dies,
gallon.
as long as they
That's
get
shown
paid.
little change in the last month, but is $1.30 lower than this time last year. Falling energy prices are one of the factors that's helped to curb inflation, although prices are still climbing faster than the Federal Reserve would like. The central bank is set to meet next week, and for the moment,
Take the
investors are
deal.
betting the Fed will leave interest rates unchanged. Step
Zelensky.
NPR News, Washington.
On Wall Street, the Dow is now down about 15 points.
Zelensky,
The
you got
Nasdaq
enough
is in
dough,
positive
bro.
territory. It's up about 33 points. You're listening to NPR News from Washington. Police in Hong Kong detained nearly 24 people yesterday. They were commemorating the victims of China's violent military suppression of pro-democracy protesters in Tiananmen Square in 1989. It's never been known how many Chinese protesters were killed. The Chinese government suppresses all commemorations of the pro-democracy uprising. Thousands of people in Canada remain evacuated from their homes because of wildfires. As Emma Jacobs reports, hot, dry conditions continue to slow crews who are battling the flames.
Last week, Quebec banned open fires in or
that's
near
dangerous.
provincial forests to try and limit the risk of fires amidst hot and dry weather, creating dangerous fire conditions.
And
Weather
winds.
patterns have contributed to a severe wildfire season across
Wind
Canada.
changes and
With the area burned at
That's a
roughly
battle,
10
isn't it?
times the average area
Terrible.
burned by this time of year over the past decade. Canada's federal government, which has
California be
already
talking
deployed
about that.
military resources to assist firefighting efforts in the provinces of Alberta and Nova Scotia, said it would deploy military personnel to Quebec. French President Emmanuel Macron announced that around 100 firefighters from France will soon be arriving to assist Canadian crews. For NPR News, I'm Emma Jacobs in Montreal.
Smoke from the wildfires in Canada is leading to air problems in the U.S. The National Weather Service has issued air quality alerts for parts of Minnesota today, as well as for almost all of Wisconsin. Previously, the wildfire smoke has prompted forecasters to issue alerts for states as far south as Maryland. I'm Korva Coleman, NPR News. There's a new way to support this show and public media. Please consider signing up
Amazon.
for the NPR.
Skip.
In NASA news, NASA has selected OC Vision LLC of San Antonio to provide program support and course development / delivery for NASA's Academy of Program / Project and Engineering Leadership Knowledge Services, APL-KS, activities for the agency. Members of the public are invited to add their names to an original poem dedicated to NASA's Europa Clipper mission before the spacecraft begins its journey to Jupiter's moon Europa in October 2024. The poem and the names will be like a message in a bottle, traveling billions of miles as the mission investigates whether the ocean thought to lie bend. NASA and Boeing will host a media teleconference at 4:30 p.m. EDT today, Thursday, June 1st, to provide an update on the agency's Boeing crew flight test to the International Space Station, the first flight with astronauts on the company's CST-100 Starliner spacecraft.
Alright.
NASA will host a media teleconference at 4 p.m. EDT on Monday, June 5th, to discuss the follow-up report by the Psyche Mission Independent Review Board. The new assessment reviews corrective actions taken following the November 2022 report. NASA and SpaceX now are targeting Monday, June 5th, to launch the company's 28th Commercial Resupply Services mission to the International Space Station from Launch Complex 39A at the agency's Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
Kennedy!
Currently,
2024!
in Seattle, it's
Oh, wait.
56 degrees Fahrenheit with clear skies and sun. You can expect
The
more of the same
Kennedy
today,
Station.
with a high of 69 degrees and a low of 54 degrees. From NASA. NASA has selected OC Vision LLC of San Antonio to provide program support and course development / delivery for NASA's Academy of Program / Project and Engineering Leadership Knowledge Services, APL-KS, activities for the agency. Members of the public are invited to add their names to an original poem dedicated to NASA's Europa Clipper mission before
Appel,
the spacecraft
that
begins
spray
its
that they
journey to
put on all the
Jupiter's moon
produce that
Europa in
causes all
October
kinds of
2024. The poem and the names will be like a message in a bottle, traveling billions of miles as the mission investigates whether the ocean thought to lie bend. NASA and Boeing will host a media teleconference at 4:30 p.m. EDT today, Thursday, June 1st, to provide an update on the agency's Boeing crew flight test to the International Space Station, the first flight with astronauts on the company's CST-100 Starliner spacecraft.
Star-Lord!
NASA will host a media teleconference at 4 p.m. EDT on Monday, June 5th, to discuss the follow-up report by the Psyche Mission Independent Review Board. The new assessment
Psyche
reviews
is
corrective
cray
actions
cray,
taken
but
following
we're
the
going
November
with-
2022 report.
Going ahead with that mission, because, it's in the book.
NASA and SpaceX now are targeting Monday, June 5th, to launch the company's 28th Commercial
Hey, come on,
Resupply
man,
Services
rocket
mission to
for
the
it, Daddy.
International
Have some
Space
fun
Station
for
from
it,
Launch Complex 39A at the agency's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. That's all for now.
Alright, that's enough of that. Okay. Amazon, tell us a joke.
What kind of music does Spider-Man like to dance to?
Ooh,
Swing music.
swing music.
Swing.
Nice. It's nice. Alright. Have a great day. Peace out.